Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to a Requiem in London. In this particular scene, back at the good old Hammerhead, Julian just asked to speak to Marcus on just to keep up communication, see how everything's doing, and possibly think of a name for this particular quarter if we even need one. But he waits at one of the tables, fish and chips, and ale on the other, and yeah, and cider and one and a large glass cup. He seems to be going at it bit by bit.
Yeah, I would say it wouldn't take too long for Marcus in his usual get up to show, see Goodman, give him a nod, quickly go to the bartender. Yeah. Marcus saw that the Goodman has a nice jug of cider, so he gets himself one too and sits down. Hey, evening, Julian. How are tricks?
Hmm, going all right for now. How about you?
Oh boy, that was a long night last night, but interesting to say the least.
Hmm. You know, excuse me. Hmm. Uh, I was wondering if we are gonna officially be quarter uh, quartery. Should we have a name, or does it really matter? I know some people have names.
Well, I mean, it can't hurt if we want to refer to our little group if we need to, you know, whether it's official or not. Mm. I mean, we like to call our units always some nickname or some official designation. I think it's a decent tradition.
Hmm.
Any suggestions? He smiles.
I am honestly not that sure. I thought typically those nicknames come from a sense of purpose, and I don't know really what our purpose is.
Yeah, probably would be a good idea if we outline what you would like to achieve, what I would like to achieve, and maybe we happen to find a few things that might overlap.
Yeah. Well, as far as my admiration or my aspirations for being in London, it's outside of my own personal business. I wanted to be, let's just say, let's say, a provider of cures people of their, or maybe not even cure, but help maintain certain things. Being able to control our people's penchant for anger, maybe even the need to eat.
Hmm. To heal, to help. A very noble goal, I have to say.
Hopefully, with these particular cures, I can also just in general keep things more stable.
That's a positive. Frankly, can't really remember coming across a kindred who actually bothered with thinking of ways to make other kindreds' existences more bearable.
So, see no reason not to. Though we're not necessarily all in it together, we all do still live in the same place.
Agreed. Guess that's something we have in common, even if in my case it's less in the medical department. I've been trying my best to help out. others when I could. See that people got a bit more of a fair shake, or at least a chance to explain themselves, and help where I can. I guess I should fill you in with what happened last night before you hear it from official sources.
Something happened?
Yes. Turned out in the end better than expected, but yes. So, and Marcus takes a long swig of the cider, forcing it down. A few months back, when I was fresh in the city and we'd barely made our acquaintance, the prince sent me off on a little mission. Kingston upon Thames, into that borough. Um, Whatever resulted was that I came across a revenant girl. Back then, I hadn't quite figured it out until the night had passed, but let's just say I helped her out. That was back when there wasn't a fatwa placed on them. And let's just say we found some common ground and I helped her out. And then several months later, um, some kindred wanted to have a talk with their leader. And she asked me if I could come along and, how should I say, if it were a trap to make it easier for her to escape, or just have an extra pair of eyes around. And I agreed to that. Masked myself up, um, bumped into Alicat, who had been also asked to help that particular revenant. And after that, we went to the meeting. Turns out the now Bishop Bainforth was there and his coterie, and that they wanted to have a chat. I got a guarantee out of the Archon, who in that instance was, at least according to his own words, not there to do business as an Archon. Showed myself to him, and then the group of us proceeded to the den, the headquarters, you could say, of the Revenants. Words were exchanged. It sounded as if the Archon wanted to offer them to show themselves and at least get the chance of being uplifted. And in the whole proceedings, that were, on the whole, quite cordial. Um, yeah, Joshua produced his ball of pseudo sunlight, and then a fight ensued with two, those things that we shall not name.
Great, they're still around.
Yes. Um, from what was said, there was a sort of inkling that. Okay, let me actually get back. So we fought, and I and Joshua were still standing after those that shall not be named had produced some sort of screech. Maybe it was a mind attack of some sort. Anyway, he and I were able to weather it. We attacked the bastards. I think one was able to flee. The other one, uh, I was able to give the amount of damage and also the killing blow with the help of Alicat. Something you should know is that at least some of the stronger ones, when they start melding with the shadows and with the wall, seem to be able to put a sort of blindness curse on you for a bit. But Alicat, who was in the vicinity of that beast, shouted and directed me to her, so I could charge it, finish the fucker off. Luckily, I didn't hit her, and then the black shadows disappeared, and we were left talking with the leader of the revenants and some of them there, and yeah, the guy who had been possessed by one of the you know whats, I had torped him, but she wasn't interested in having that guy dragged towards the prince and everything. So I basically just stood aside and saw how things went, and then we were directed out. And on the way out, the Archon said that he wasn't planning of throwing neither Alicat nor me under the bus, that he'd simply say that we'd been deputized, for the lack of a better word, for this mission, and yeah, that we did a good one for the uh, for the domain. So he gave me his word, but fingers crossed he doesn't get any second ideas. So far, he's been good with his word, but yeah, just thought I should let you know.
No, I appreciate that.
I know it was a stupid idea saying yes and offering my help to that revenant, but sometimes I just can't stand by when people who need help ask for it, especially people who would rather need our help than our disdain. Ugh. Guess I just know how it feels to be discarded. And he just hangs his head a little bit.
No, I understand too well what you mean by that. And Goodman kind of looks at his food, oddly sheepishly for him. I walk past his grave now and then.
Oh, oh, you mean the oh
I leave, trying to leave things, or at least be there for him and his wife.
yeah, um, yeah, understandable. Wish I could do that with Harry's grave, but not yet, not yet. First, I need to get a plan of operations going before I can try anything in that. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, this is important, especially if officials are involved. If Baneforth wishes to be, let's say, merciful, he may not present their position to the prince. If not, they may not last a night or two.
I am aware of that, or put it that way, I'm not that naive that I'm not aware that that possibility exists.
I'm hoping in the future, if we find any more of them, I'm starting research on a new medication, as he puts emphasis on that.
Mm.
It's designed to deal with people with high sense of anxiety and mental disorders.
Uh-huh.
That could be useful for people like them. They're able to curb their anger and possibly even their appetite a little bit.
Hmm. If nothing else, it sounds as if it could help at least their mindset.
Uh,
Because when you're not focusing on fear, you've got a clearer head.
Indeed.
Yeah. So the borough I was in, there must have been over 30 of them. Never did I expect to see that many. I guess if you think about it statistically, I would have expected maybe a dozen.
There was nearly that amount when we found them the first time. Our numbers are increasing. That isn't good.
Yeah, and an idea came to my head, so I asked the leader if in the last 10 or 11 months the numbers had increased disproportionately. And from the little I was able to gather, the answer is yes. To who exactly is responsible for that they couldn't give me an answer.
Somebody's
And
either
then we were
being.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and then we were rudely interrupted by the umbral owls.
Somebody's either extremely sloppy or doing this on purpose.
Hmm. Yeah, I've got this nagging feeling, and how likely it is, I don't know, but I've got this nagging suspicious feeling that I was sent to London. Things were, or at least set up for me to get to London. And if I think about it, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly possessed me to say what I did, to mention a name that I did that seemed to be a kickoff point the more I think about it. Mind you, could also be that it's just my good old paranoia getting the better of me. I could be falsely relating stuff.
Well, was it once as an accident, twice as a coincidence, three times as a pattern?
Absolutely. Yep. I remember reading that guy's book even.
Mm, if we want to be gracious about this is technically only twice. But there have been more than enough signs have been showing foul play for a while now.
Mm. And what I've just got the strong suspicion that a third party is involved, one that we haven't had a proper grip on, especially the fact that seems to turn out that the wolf is the one who was responsible for my blood being tampered with, and also the fact that there are at least one or two kindred who have looked into Sir Alsop and haven't been able to find diddly squat. False identity, most likely. Uh, Something just doesn't smell right here.
Mm, I'd have to ask maybe my sire about the wolf, but I don't know how I should be responding to him exactly because she's actually told me to seek him for counsel, but be very polite about it.
Oh, oh my.
He, he is in Ordo.
That he is. And yeah, from what I heard, an order with a lot of mysteries, a lot of coils. Yeah. Mm. And I don't really know if it were that smart for me to try and approach him. Goodness knows what he might have implanted in my mind, or had somebody else implant in my mind. Because when I had the talk with the other berserker, the one who took control of part of Wandsworth,
Hmm.
he was able to identify the wolf as the one who whacked him over the head and did the experiments on him, and then had him go into the battles, into the inter-kindred conflict.
I don't understand. Why not just do mass embraces and hunt down those stragglers? Typically the old tactic of doing this.
Mm, yeah, and if that's the case, and I really escaped completely on my own wits, how come he hasn't gone after me?
Mm,
It's, yeah. Mm. You, you you see where my theory is coming from. Certain things just seem as if they fell just a little too well into place. I'm not referring to you. I'm more referring to the fact that how big are the chances that some kindred out in the countryside would just happen to bump into two Ordo Gangrel that were just more than happy to have me run some errands and then induct me, almost as if they were planted there.
guess we'll just keep doing what we've always been doing. Just try to be safe and careful.
Agreed. My plans? Well, as prosaic as it sounds, I just want to get a stronghold going, a place where I can be reasonably safe, where my men can also be reasonably safe. Just want to gather some resources because I've run the numbers. Probably by the time I'd be 85, I will have to go into torpor, and I want to set myself up reasonably safe. I want that in the time that I'm in torpor, nobody to meddle with my corpse or my men.
Well, I do have land, and the home that my father left me is a house in itself. It's not meant really for one person. It's one of the older places that aren't as modern to be pleased upon. They looked upon. So most people don't come by.
Hmm. Who is occupying it at the moment, if I might be so bold?
I am.
Only you on your lonesome?
Yeah.
Um, uh, just spitballing here, but would you mind if I mm, maybe um, rented a few rooms and just, you know, have myself maybe in the other end of the building and see if I could maybe spruce up security or something for you?
No, I think if we're going to be a quartery, it wouldn't be wrong to invest something to somewhat solidify our efforts. A place for our survival and a place to lay our heads should be a good starting point.
Yeah. Um, is it in the middle of the city, or are we more talking about on, the outer fringes?
It's more on the outer fringes. Still close enough in the city, but enough room to support a yard, a mild, um, a mild guest house, and not to have too much traffic. It
Hmm.
was. Hmm. It would be lucky to have now, but probably at the time when my father got it, it was just simply convenient. He is a lot older than I am.
I would have guessed as much. Yeah, and the good news is this time not not like the first time. I actually, mm, although it's not that much, I actually have some resources, and let's just say I could definitely pay my share.
Hmm.
Towards the water, the electricity, whatever upgrades we would want to do.
Right now, luckily for us, the house and land is paid for. I just mainly pay for upkeep.
Hmm, I see. Heck, if you give me enough time, I could probably even build in a sauna, maybe an indoor swimming pool, or at the very least a jacuzzi. After all, nothing wrong warming up these old bones.
Uh, he nods.
And of course, on the roof, I'll see if I can find a sniper position. Marcus says, what seems to be a joke, but you're not 100% sure.
All I ask on this place, since it was left to me, is I'm not against adding new features. It's going to happen eventually. But there are places in the house that I like to keep undisturbed.
No worries, no worries. You just tell me which areas are off bounds or you would like untouched, and no problem. I mean, I don't need really that much for myself. As long as we can have maybe one or two guest rooms on the side where I can get my guys if they need to lay low as well. Don't expect them to. So far they seem to be doing quite well. Haven't really been in the crosshairs of anyone. So, but hey, your house, your rules.
So eventually, it'll be our house. So we can eventually change the rules.
Sounds good. And as for a name, mm, it doesn't hurry that terribly. I can also try and think of a few things. Since we're both Ordo, I've got the feeling a slight draconic motif might still be appropriate.
Hmm. He nods and he kind of thinks about it for a moment. I remember some of my college mates who had played a certain game, Dungeons and Dragons. They talk about the different types of dragons in that book.
Marcus's eyes light up noticeably.
There's one. I think they're the bronze dragons. They typically are good natured and quiet, but that does not mean they're not ones to be trifled with.
Exactly. Uh, how did somebody once put it so nicely? Speak gently and carry a big stick.
Indeed.
Hmm. The bronze dragon coterie. I like the sound of it. Yeah. Well, apart from that, I'm happy to say that my studies have been going well, progressed quite nicely, even got some of my levels tested. So that's officially recognized. Seem to be so far in the good graces of the domain, and I'm not planning in getting myself into any dicey business anytime soon. At least that kind that I can help. And I'm also happy to say, apart from the the two goddamn owls in the den, I haven't been seeing hind or hair of them. So yeah, and I've been around town, so they don't seem to be awfully focusing on me. Oh yeah, and the upside is, should they try anything funny, I'd be close at hand.
And soon we should be ready for him on a complete front.
Yeah. On a different note, have you got any gold and silver coins?
I can attain them.
Mm. And he produces a rather thick leather bag, like a good big fistful, and puts it on the table. I happen to have some on me right now. If you
Hmm.
want, you could take some just to be on the safe side and reimburse me later, or when you get a bigger stack of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Julian will nod and take a few coins and put them in his pocket. It'd be best that I pay you back later, or I can pay you now. As he puts up a brings out a checkbook and begins writing things down. And he leaves it blank and puts it over to you. Just fill in what you think you need and cash it out later.
Thank you. Um, I'll I'll count the coins and do the thing and do it later. But yeah, and Marcus takes out two more silver coins and just goes, and these are for you.
Thank you.
Um, Harry always said, make sure that you have got coins for the ferryman.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So, how's the fish and chips?
Uh, tastes all right. Uh, so definitely edible. Obviously, the proper, the proper British grease. Though I've unfortunately had the luxury in the different parts of London they have the things that come from the Americans. What they call it, Cajun. They don't have that here.
Hmm. Who knows? Maybe for who knows? Maybe in a decade or so, we might be putting up a Cajun restaurant. Who knows?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Indeed.
Uh, yeah, the dead feeding the living. That would definitely get a new meaning.
I'm sure Dava's doing it somewhere around here.
Goddamn showboaters. Don't get me wrong, they tend to be okay, but damn, they love being in the spotlight.
It's their nature, I guess. So I'm not here to judge them on that.
Don't worry. I normally take Kindred on a person to person basis. Guess yeah. Sorry.
No, you're right. Well, just tell me when your mates are coming by, and I'll make sure to keep a door nearby so you guys can come in, or a
No,
key nearby. Yeah.
yeah, that would be nice. I mean, as lovely as the hospitality of our main chantry might be, it's I prefer to have another place where Nikolai couldn't just walk in when I'm not around, or anyone else for that matter.
Well, if we put our heads together, there'll be a point where people like that have a hard time walking in.
Mm. Would you like to know what I did in the poker room? Any points to it the last time I had you guys around?
Hmm. Something happened?
Nothing actually happened, but well, my original idea was that the you know whats would probably react very badly if I had a blowtorch and started going around the room quite aggressively and threateningly. But then I thought, especially those sneaky ones, at least half of them tend to be especially afraid of fire. So yeah, thought that's also a good way of discouraging other kindred, at least non-Ordo kindred of snooping around. Thankfully, nobody or anything was there, but yeah,
You know,
fire, a great enemy, but also a great friend.
eh, I don't have the same, let's say, mental fortitude to fire like you have. I do feel like I can survive it for a decent time, but I would still be a bit uneased nonetheless.
Mm, that's the beauty of the mystery of Ascendant. At a certain point, you figure out ways that are not just you resisting the beast, being afraid of fire, but of that signal even getting to the beast in the first place. In other words, you're then able to look upon fire the way you did in your youth, like at a campfire, something warming, something comforting, something transformative.
Julian nods.
If you ever wish to learn, I'd be more than happy to help you out.
I first need to master this anger first. Redundant as I presented that.
I see. Well, by the time you're done with that, I just might be a master in ascendancy.
Despite, even though that may be an early step, that will be a step nonetheless. The order will take notice. Not every member masters a coil.
Mm, well, I don't mind the idea of hmm, surprising them in good ways, showing that just because one of them thought that they could only use me for one task, that I'd be so one-dimensional. Yeah, I might be what I am, but I'm not taking it lying down. Is there a problem? And I'll find a way to overcome it. Well, adversity has a funny way of building character, and I'm fully aware that I'm quite the character, he says as he starts chuckling.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
Yeah, but Julian will stand and say, "Yeah," and say, "Well, if anything else comes up with those people, and if they're willing to, I'm more than happy to try to help them."
Hmm. Yeah. Well, the good thing is I have a point of contact, a friend, you could say. So And at least the way we left, I'm aware that I'm still in their good graces, which is, from what I've found out, a relatively rare thing. Normally, they have got a very hard time trusting our kind, and frankly, I can't blame them.
Indeed.
But yeah, that's all for the moment. Everyone else seems to be fine. Nobody died, or nobody finally died, or however the hell you say it. Ugh, jeepers. It just feels weird sometimes using the lingo.
Uh, I try to keep it simple. Say they still exist.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually took the liberty of checking the seven signs of life. As far as I can see, we tick pretty much. Okay, at one of the points could be discussed, but at least six of the seven we tick. So I always like to think we're closer to life than death.
It's gonna get harder as we get older.
Well, I'm gonna find that out in turbo speed. So I'll let you know. Fuck the wolf. He says very casually.
Yeah. Julian once is not kind of taking consideration of that. Well, I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Irons, and my home
Please
is open.
call me Marcus. You're a friend of mine. Friends of mine can call me by my first name.
Eh, then my door is open for you, Marcus, and for your people.
Thank you. I'll be in contact in the next few nights. I just want to double check a few things. You know, get stuff organized. At least I've got a big fat van that I can throw my slowly growing amount of possessions. If I'm not careful, I might start building up a horde. And he slaps Julian on the back of the shoulder. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I won't turn into Fafnir. Promise.
Then he kind of sighs, though it is not a painful sigh. Having things is not a bad thing. I think he'll be all right.
We'll be okay. And also happy to hear that there's a bit of a yard. Rusty will definitely enjoy the walks and also the fresher air. All this pollution can't be good for the lung of a dog.
No, and
Yeah.
and with that, Julian will go through the threshold of the door and seems to be jiggling some of the coins that he got from Marcus in his pocket, almost in a warding gesture as he leaves the building.
Marcus looks on as his friend leaves the establishment very quietly as Julian is leaving, lifts his glass, takes a swig, looks at the door for a little bit more, smiles to himself, and then moves to some of the bikers to join in their chatter and do some socializing.
And with that, thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Have a good morning, evening, or night.